Okay, you guys, so I'm trying to figure out what's really going on with Papoose, Remy Ma, and Clarissa Shields, because the math is not mathing and the streets are side-eyeing this whole situation heavy. What started off looking like just another messy relationship triangle has now turned into a full-blown financial and moral controversy. And once you lay all the pieces out, it really makes you wonder who's playing who in this situation. Because on the surface, you've got Papoose looking like the supportive boyfriend, Clarissa looking like the love-struck champion, and Remy Ma looking unbothered. But underneath all that, baby, it's giving chess, not checkers. Now, let's get into the receipts, because this is where things take a sharp left. According to information put out by Tasha K, paperwork shows that Papoose has been hit with federal tax liens going all the way back to 2012. We're talking over $300,000 owed to the IRS, untouched for more than a decade. And before anyone says, oh, that's old news, no, this is active, current debt with liens attached. And then, boom, right behind that comes Remy Ma's paperwork, showing she allegedly owes over $600,000 in back taxes. So together, that's nearly $1 million owed to Uncle Sam. That's not no light work. That's life-altering money, especially when the IRS is involved. Here's where the side-eye really kicks in. People started asking, how are two artists who've been in the game this long, with endorsements, tours, brand deals, and TV appearances, sitting on that kind of tax debt? And more importantly, why does all of this come out right when Clarissa Shields signs an $8 million deal with Win Records? Because according to industry chatter, Papoose just so happens to be an executive over there, specifically heading hip-hop operations. That means he didn't just cheer Clarissa on, he helped position her into a deal that directly benefits him financially. And let's be real for a second. Clarissa Shields is not just anybody. She's an Olympic gold medalist, a world champion, and arguably one of the greatest women boxers of all time. She didn't need a come-up. She didn't need saving. But when love gets involved, logic tends to take a back seat. And now people are asking whether Clarissa is unknowingly funding a situation that predates her entirely. Because if Papoose is earning off her boxing brand, her music ventures, and executive percentages, that's consistent money flowing in. And when someone owes the IRS that kind of bread, every dollar suddenly has a destination. Now let's talk about Remy Ma, because this is another layer people don't want to address honestly. These two are still legally married. Yes, Papoose filed for divorce back in May, but months later, that divorce still hasn't been finalized, and allegedly, Remy may have pulled back from pushing it through. So ask yourself, why? If your marriage is done, if your man has moved on publicly, why stall? One theory floating around is simple. As long as they're married, Remy still benefits from whatever financial stability Papoose secures, and if that stability is coming from Clarissa's success, then everyone eats. It also didn't go unnoticed that Clarissa spent Christmas solo shopping while Papoose was reportedly with Remy and their daughter. That optics alone raised eyebrows, because if you're truly in a clean break, fully moved on, why are you still playing family on holidays? It really makes you wonder if lines are being blurred intentionally to keep everything comfortable on all sides. And remember, Remy herself previously referred to Clarissa as a come-up, which hits very different now that money and taxes are part of the conversation. Another uncomfortable angle here is the power imbalance. Clarissa is emotionally invested. You can see it in how she talks, how she defends Papoose, how she proudly claims him. Meanwhile, Papoose is connected to her financially, professionally, and romantically, all at once. That's a lot of influence for one person to hold. If this is true, it's very concerning, because mixing business, love, unresolved marriage, and massive debt is a recipe for disaster. Somebody always ends up holding the bag, and history shows it's usually the one moving off emotion instead of strategy. What makes this even heavier is how quiet Papoose and Remy have been about the tax situation itself. No firm denials, no clear explanations, just silence. And in the court of public opinion, silence tends to sound like confirmation, especially when documents are involved. This isn't just gossip pulled out of thin air. People are reacting to alleged paperwork, timelines, and patterns that don't look accidental. When you put it all together, it doesn't scream coincidence, it screams convenience. And before anybody says this is hate towards Clarissa, let's be clear. That woman is accomplished on her own. That's exactly why people are concerned. Nobody wants to see a woman who worked that hard end up emotionally or financially drained behind a situation that was already broken before she entered it. Love is powerful, but love mixed with debt, leverage, and unresolved marriages can turn ugly fast. And if things ever go left, the fallout won't just be personal, it'll be public. So I'll pause it right here, because there's still more to unpack, especially when it comes to Clarissa's emotional investment, public behavior, and how this could all end if the truth comes out fully. So picking up right where we left off, the real concern here isn't just money or taxes, it's the emotional crash potential, and Clarissa Shields is standing dead center in that blast radius. Let's be real for a second. When a woman is publicly defending a man nonstop, centering him in her content, her interviews, her daily life, that's not casual dating energy, that's deep attachment. And when that attachment is tied to someone who still has unresolved legal, marital, and financial baggage, that's when things start slipping from romance into risk. Because look at the pattern. Clarissa talks about Papoose like he's her peace, her grounding force, her safe space. Meanwhile, the man is allegedly juggling an unfinished divorce, six-figure tax debt, executive interests tied to her income, and a co-parenting dynamic that still looks very much like a marriage when the cameras are off. That imbalance is dangerous. Not because Clarissa is weak, she's not, but because love makes smart people ignore red flags they'd clock instantly in anyone else's situation. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud: access. Papoose has access to Clarissa's money streams, her career decisions, her public image, and her emotions. That's 4 major leverage points. If this was just a regular dude with no financial incentive, people might be less alarmed. But when someone who owes the IRS hundreds of thousands of dollars suddenly has proximity to an $8 million deal, let's be real, that's not no light work, that's motive territory. Now add Remy Ma back into the picture, because despite all the talk of separation, she's still legally tied to him, and silence can be strategic. If Remy is not pushing for divorce, not publicly dragging him, not distancing herself financially, then the benefit has to be mutual. That doesn't mean she's masterminding anything, it just means this situation may be far more coordinated than it appears. And coordination doesn't require romance, it requires shared interest. What also stands out is how Remy framed Clarissa as a come-up. At the time, it sounded like bitterness or shade, but now with the tax liens exposed, that comment lands different, because if Clarissa is the newest, cleanest, most profitable asset connected to Papoose right now, then yeah, financially speaking, that is a come-up. And again, that doesn't make Clarissa wrong, it makes her vulnerable. Let's talk about the optics, too. Clarissa spending Christmas solo shopping while Papoose was reportedly with his wife and child. That doesn't happen accidentally. That sends a message whether intended or not. And the message is when it matters most, he's still anchored elsewhere. That's the kind of thing that eats away at someone over time. And when that realization finally hits, that's when people crash out emotionally, publicly, or both. This is why people are worried, not hating, because Clarissa is a champion in a world that already undervalues women athletes. The last thing she needs is to become a cautionary tale about mixing love and business with the wrong person, especially when that person's financial house is already on fire. If this situation ends badly, it won't just be heartbreak, it could be reputational damage, financial loss, and public embarrassment all rolled up. Now, to be fair, none of us know these people personally. This is all based on what's been presented, discussed, and circulated publicly, allegedly. But the pattern is loud, and when patterns start forming, people are going to talk, especially when paperwork, timelines, and money are involved. Silence from Papoose and Remy only fuels speculation, whether that's fair or not. At the end of the day, the biggest question is this: does Clarissa truly understand the full picture she's standing in? Not just the love story, but the debts, the marriage, the business ties, the incentives? Because if she does and she's choosing it anyway, that's her right. But if she doesn't, then that's a problem, a big one. And I genuinely hope this all turns out clean. I hope Papoose's intentions are pure, I hope Remy is truly detached, and I hope Clarissa never has to learn a painful lesson the hard way. But hope doesn't cancel patterns, and right now, the patterns are loud. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do you think Papoose and Remy are running game, or is this all being blown out of proportion? Do you think Clarissa knows exactly what's going on, or is love clouding her judgment? And if you made it to the end, make sure you subscribe for more real talk celebrity breakdowns.